Hi everybody. What we're going to do now is go into a little bit more detail. I hope everybody looked at and liked John Cresswell's video on mixed methods and qualitative inquiry. If you haven't looked at that video, go ahead and quit now and go back and look at it because this little presentation kind of builds on that video. I thought I would narrate this to make it a little less boring, but if you would prefer, you can just close this out and go pick up the PowerPoint slides. There's a link, as I noted in the text above, that'll take you right there. Okay, so anyway, here we go. Learning objectives for this piece are, once you've finished looking at this video, you'll be able to differentiate qualitative and quantitative methods. You'll be able to describe the concept of mixed methods research and explain why it's used. And you will be able to explain the planned progression of our AIM-1 research efforts in the PCORI project. So mixed methods research. To summarize, it's an approach to research that involves collecting, analyzing, and mixing both quantitative and qualitative research methods. This is all done in the context of a single study to understand a research problem. So quantitative approaches have certain characteristics. In a quantitative approach, the questions that the researcher asks are very narrow and specific. And the researcher's expectation is that there is an answer to those questions, a single answer to the research question. Quantitative researchers typically collect numeric data and use statistics to analyze those data. Quantitative approaches are characterized as objective and deductive. In our current AIM-1, an example of a quantitative approach is the use of statistical methods, namely structural equation modeling, that will be used to establish the validity and reliability of the questionnaire, the USQ-NB, that will be tested toward the end of AIM-1 with 600 people nationwide. Conversely, in the qualitative approach, the questions that the researcher asks are broad and general. And the questions deal largely with people's experiences and perceptions. Therefore, the expectation is that there will be many answers and multiple realities expressed as a result of analyzing these questions. The data that qualitative researchers collect is largely composed of words. In qualitative research, you look for themes. That's the analytic component. Whereas quantitative was objective, qualitative approaches are termed subjective, and whereas quantitative is deductive, qualitative is inductive. Now, our prime example of a qualitative approach in PCORI 1, AIM-1, is the use of focus groups. In these focus groups, we're going to try to understand the experience of urinary symptoms by people who have neuropathic bladder. A little bit more on qualitative methods. Typically, a qualitative approach involves listening to what participants say and then taking what they've said and subjecting it to what we call here analytic induction. That is essentially finding the common themes in what people have said. Qualitative research is exploratory in nature. Lots of surprises. Sometimes you don't know you don't know where you're going until you get there. Examples of qualitative methods that are used in data collection are interviews, open-ended questionnaires, observation, content analysis, that involves generally looking at texts, and focus groups. And focus groups are the method that we're going to use in AIM 1 of the PCORI project. So about the use of mixed methods in the PCORI project. Why are we approaching it this way? Well, as Cresswell framed it, we're doing it to tell the complete story. It also helps us build from one phase of the study to the next, so we begin to explore qualitatively, and then we develop an instrument, the urinary symptom questionnaire. So how are we implementing mixed methods? There are various ways of doing that. What we're using is known as an exploratory sequential design, where we go from qualitative to quantitative. So looking closely at our PCORI project AIM 1, here we start with the qualitative data collection and analysis, and the components of this phase of AIM 1 involve conducting the focus groups, identifying the themes of people's experience with urinary symptoms from the focus groups. Then we will develop an alpha questionnaire based on the themes that we identify. This questionnaire will then go to a clinician panel. They will modify it and produce an initial beta questionnaire. Rather, the beta questionnaire will be produced based on their input. Actually, Rochelle Trachtenberg, who was not on the call, but who I'm sure you will meet soon, is a professor at Georgetown, and she is our statistical expert. So she will actually develop it based on this input. Then we will take that initial beta questionnaire and conduct a second round of focus groups where we will get people's feedback on the changes, on the final product and the changes that have been recommended by the clinician panel. And from there, we will develop the final beta questionnaire, which we're calling the USQNB. In the quantitative phase of AIM 1, our beta questionnaire will be tested with a national sample, and this sample will be large enough to allow us to statistically determine the validity and reliability of the questionnaire. Once that has been determined, then the output of this process is, in fact, a validated questionnaire that we will then use in the probiotic urinary symptom self-management protocol, which is a further phase aim of the project. So our qualitative activities center around conducting focus groups, and this is how we envision the focus groups will go. They'll be conducted online or over the phone, or a combination of both. We're going to have a system in place that will be flexible enough to allow people to participate over the net or just by calling in on their phones. All the groups will be audio recorded and then professionally transcribed. We think there will be about, certainly no more than a dozen groups altogether in rounds 1 and round 2 of focus groups combined. We will not have more than 5 participants per group because it gets out of hand after that. The interactions will be scripted. You can actually take a look at the preliminary script. We don't have complete IRB approval yet. That's in the document section on this website. Using the script, we will conduct the focus groups, sharing the moderation. What we envision is rotating the lead, so various people will get an opportunity to lead the focus group, but we will always have at least 2 members on each focus group call. This is useful because when you're in charge and you're trying to plan what you're going to say next, it's hard to be sensitive and perceptive about what's going on with other people, and it's very useful to have another person there listening. Concurrent with conducting the focus groups, we will be identifying themes, and this is the analytic part of the focus group activity. And we characterize this as iterative, which means it's not done once. We'll get an initial perception, conduct more focus groups, and that may very well change. Additionally, the feedback that we get from interim analysis will feed forward to modify the questions in future focus groups, so that we can be continually refining our process to better address what experiences are emerging as we conduct the focus groups. The themes will be reviewed by at least 2 group members and elaborated, and we will come up with a method for developing consensus. This will be something we'll decide as a group on how we're going to do that. The software package we're going to use is NVivo 10. It's probably the premier product, it's highly reputable. There's an introduction to NVivo 10 and analysis in Module 3, but not to worry. We're looking at the entire focus group process as a learning experience for all of us, and there will be, ongoing methodological and technological support as we go through the analysis phase and all of AIM-1. So once we have completed thematic analysis, we will make recommendations for items on the questionnaire. These recommendations will be in writing. Then, using these recommendations, Rochelle, who will be the development lead, will develop the questionnaire items. This will be our alpha questionnaire. Once this is composed, we will have a panel of clinicians to review it for any possible clinical considerations, and based on their review, then Rochelle will develop the initial beta questionnaire. This questionnaire we will take back to our round 2 focus groups to have them examine it and to affirm or modify the clinician changes. This second round of groups will also be analyzed in NVivo, but we expect that it will be a much smaller project, probably only 2 focus groups, seeing as the bulk of the work will have been done to develop the alpha, and the output of this is the final beta questionnaire for large-scale testing. Thank you very much, and we'll move on to the next module.